Hello everyone, welcome to the Captain One podcast number 78. I'm Serena, Savior Out on Tumblr, and these are the people with me today. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I'm You Brought Me Home on Tumblr.
I'm Mai, and I'm Morgana Sonoray.
I'm Michelle, and I'm to the end of the world or time.
That's it. Okay.
Where's Timothy?
Okay, so let's start talking about this episode. I think this is gonna be short. We don't even have a lot of questions, right?
Yeah,
Michelle?
we don't have a lot of questions, and we do have two from the last episode.
Okay, let's start with those then.
Okay, that's 3 episodes we've been talking about the brother shield.
Yeah, and I wasn't even here last time to talk about how much I hate Liam.
Yeah, I needed you last week.
If there's a question about how much of a moron Liam is, I will answer it.
Yes, I will.
There is not, sadly.
Because,
well, there is sort of,
Bummer.
I guess.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just go. Catwell says, do you think Killian growing up with little identity except for an abused slave that he needed his brother to protect him affected his sense of self later in life? It seems like he had no identity or dreams other than what he got from his brother. The same way Liam's whole identity was tied up in being a protector and guide for his brother. Killian and what was best for him and what should always be first add that that was why he made the deal with Hades and hid it from Killian. That was a little discombobulated.
Okay, that's a deep question. Mai, what do you think?
Hey, you were the one who wanted to talk about it, so
I just wanted to talk about. I give the order, and I'm ordering you to answer Mai.
Okay. The question was if, let me see if I understand the question. The question is that neither of them really had a sense of self, right?
Right.
Okay. I think it's mostly yes and kind of no. Like, I do think I do think that Killian was very, very guided by what his brother wanted and by what his brother said, etc., etc. We saw it, even in the episode. Because of the hero worship and the whole, like I said, the whole, his brother was so high he couldn't even see him. So I do think, in a way, that Liam's actions did kind of tint Killian's own actions. Like, maybe he wouldn't have gone this way or that way without Liam's guidance. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I don't think that the moment he lost Liam, he lost everything. So he didn't know what to do. He didn't know which way was up. So he knew he wanted to avenge him, etc., etc.
Okay, Lisa, what do you think?
I think it is true in many ways that his life was shaped by the example that Liam set, but there's also a thing that I think kind of makes him and Emma very similar in a lot of respects. Remember when Emma, back in season 1, said that the very idea of hope is worse than what was that line? Giving someone the very idea of hope.
False hope is the worst thing you can give a person.
False hope is the worst thing that you could give a person. And because the way that Killian grew up, being in slavery, in servitude, having nothing but the shirt on his back, and constantly being beaten and bullied, and God only knows what he probably went through from ship to ship and master to master. It was hard for him genuinely to have any hope at all, or to think that it was a good idea to have any kind of hope, because at the end of the day, he used to always get dashed, which is why he took to drinking and gambling at such a young age, because it was the only way to numb the pain. His life was just full of that. as much as his brother tried to push on him that, we'll find a way out of this, we're going to save. It's obvious they've been saving money for a long time, but I'm not sure if Killian really believed that they were going to get out of it. He seemed kind of surprised that his brother had gotten the flyer from the recruiters. I don't think as long as they'd saved all that money, and as long as Liam had all these ideas about being free, I don't really think he was holding out much hope that it was going to happen. I don't think he wanted to. He was too afraid to, that if they did, that it would be dashed because of how little that they've had going through life. That's why it took Emma so long to believe in what was around her. She didn't believe in hope after being hurt for so long and being abandoned. They're very, just another way in which the two of them are very much alike. But once their ship sank and they got into the Navy, I think it was at that point where that hope started to come back up again, because they finally got out from under the thumb of that oppression, and they were able to finally have some semblance of a life. So he took that ideal that Liam had, and he's like, okay, now I have the hope, and now I have that hope back, and I can work towards it. And that's why he totally changed his character and became like this perfect, upstanding person. But because of Killian, the way he lives in extremes, it didn't take long for that hope to be dashed. As Emma said, it's horrible to have false hope when it can be taken quickly. And when Liam died, that's when that hope just shattered.
Michelle, what do you think?
I think the Anon is onto something, because, we know that joining the Navy was Liam's dream. We don't know what Killian's dream was. He had no hope, so he didn't really feel it was possible to have dreams, to have aspirations. He scoffed when he said, when Liam was talking about Captain Jones, he was like, yeah, that's crazy. So, but I think the fact that he chose to stay with Emma rather than go with Liam was Killian finally choosing for himself the kind of life he wants, because he could have gone on with Liam and, lived eternity on a ship doing whatever, living Liam's dream of being on a ship. But that's not Killian's dream anymore. Now he has one, and that dream is to have a life and a family and somewhere to belong, a home, which he's never really had before, except for his ship, which he gave up to get back to Emma. So that is Killian finally figuring out who he is outside of what Liam's dreams and aspirations were.
And what do you guys think, if he could have chosen? What would he have chosen to be, like, instead of a pirate? Because I've always thought that if anything were possible, he could have chosen to be like to study, because he seems really into books and research. So that was one of my thoughts. If he could have studied instead of a military career, he would have been a, I don't know, I wouldn't want to say a researcher, but I don't know if it's a period appropriate.
It's a scholar.
A scholar, right? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
I
think-
actually agree with that.
I do too.
I really can see it.
He'd be like
Okay.
a more advanced version of Belle.
Yes. With better taste in romantic partners.
Oh my goodness, gracious, man, hermosa.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Way. Yes, I'm cursing in Spanish because, she's not understanding in English, so maybe she'll understand in Spanish.
You have to find some archaic language there, Mike, because those are the only ones Belle knows.
Okay, next question.
Okay, this is also for 515. Hooked on Killian for Life 28 says, question for the next podcast. In the last podcast, you did not seem to have a chance to talk about the Captain Swan scene at the end of the episode with the kiss, and where Killian says he damn well intends to have a future with Emma. And for the Captain Swan podcast, I was surprised you did not get to it. I really wanted to hear your opinions on that scene, and you did not seem to get to it. So could you all talk about what you thought about that scene before talking about the next episode?
I know
Okay.
we did talk about it. Or maybe I don't used to remember.
We did very briefly. We spent more time arguing about how Liam is the worst.
I don't know what is there to talk to argue about. Like it seems clear that he is indeed the worst.
Yes.
Thank you, Mai.
Yes. He's a pompous ass.
But to
Okay.
get back to Captain Swan kissing,
No, it was
Okay.
a really, really good scene. I mean, it was a good kiss.
I love the pouncing kisses, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. It was a kiss. It was not my favorite Captain Swan kiss. It was not my least favorite. It was just there. I wasn't
Okay, now I'm curious.
particularly.
What's your least favorite kiss?
Sorry?
I'm curious. What's your least favorite kiss?
My least favorite. I have to think about it. I will tell you at the end of the podcast.
Isn't that
That's
crazy
how
that
you
we've
do
had
it.
so many that we can have favorites and least favorites, and the ones that are just sort of meh?
Yeah,
I know
I
what
will hold you to that, Serena.
I know what my least favorite kiss is. My least favorite kiss is in 411 when he was not himself
Oh,
in the diner. If she couldn't figure out at that point that there was something wrong before the whole hand on the wrist thing, well, I'm not even going to get into that because we've already discussed the fallacy.
Yeah, we did. I think.
As for this one, I just kind of felt like I was like, I felt like a weight had fallen off of me and off of them too, because there was so much angst and stress and everything going on with wondering if he was going to stay or if he was going to go with his brother, and the fact that he's dead and was the Dark One and all of this drama. Now it just felt like a bit of a weight just kind of fell off of their shoulders, and it was one of those moments where they could just be them again.
Well, you know, as somebody so astutely pointed out on Tumblr, this is the first time they've kissed as themselves with no darkness in either one of them since season 4, since Lily, and that's insane.
It was important that they were able to do this, to be themselves, not Dark One Emma, not Dark Chem Swan, just them. They needed this moment of levity. You know?
Yeah, for that alone, I'm glad that it happened, and I'm glad that right before it happened, Emma made sure that staying and coming back home to Storybrooke was exactly what Killian wanted. So, yay scene.
That was important, that even though he started off saying that I'm glad that you came back, or that you came here to find me, and I do believe that I'm worth saving, she didn't automatically assume that he was coming back. She asked to be clear because she wanted it to be his decision. That was so important because of everything that's happened before with what she did to him. It was so vitally important that she was sure that he was clear that this was his choice, that he wants to come back. And it almost felt like the look on her face was kind of the same as what the look on her face in 415. Remember when he told her that she was his happy ending? That awe look, sort of.
Yeah.
She had the same awe type look on her face, like, you're coming home? You want to be with you know, I was, thank you, thank you.
Yes, it was nice to see happy Emma again. Hallelujah, thank the Lord.
Happy Emma is my favorite Emma.
Seriously, and hopefully we can get this bringing him back to life angst over with, so that we can get more happy Emma.
Okay, and before we go on to the other questions about this episode, here's the thing.
No, this is the last one for 15. Now we're moving
Okay,
on.
but here, for anyone that was worried about Emma or Killian or anyone dying because of that blind item for TV line, that just got resolved. So stop worrying.
Okay, but Robin is still dying.
most likely, but he's
We
not
still, but is
and
a
he's not
man,
just
is white, and is straight, so it's okay.
no, but
We
here's the
don't
thing.
really care.
He's not
I'm not laughing because
I mean he's
you know,
not
the
the
other deaths are
main
okay.
character.
Clearly the other deaths are not okay. But the fact that what Serena just said is so true. I'm just like boggled
Yeah,
at these
it is.
showrunners.
Okay, let's go to the next.
Yes, but anyone who was worried about, but the blind item was like the main character was gonna die, and that already happened.
Yeah.
So
Besides, we
stop
don't
worrying.
even have 100% confirmation that his character is dying yet. I'm so tired of them foisting this blame on Hook as if Robin's dying to placate Hook or Hook people. I'm like, look, you don't even know that he is dead. Stop making assumptions before you
Also,
know what the plot is. Why don't we wait and see what happens before you make some sort of unfounded judgment through sugar
1
goggles?
plus 1 does not equal 3. Hook has nothing to do with Robin's storyline.
No. Robin
But-
has nothing to do with Robin's storyline.
But you know the way that it goes. Every time there's something that they don't like, who gets the blame? Hook.
Of course.
He's the scapegoat for everything. Emma seems drawn and worn out and stressed.
Oh my God.
It's Hook's fault. If I see one more fucking post about how she is so OOC for being down there and she looks like death warmed over, I'm like, would you be cracking jokes and have a half a pound of makeup on your face if you just had your soul crushed by being the dark one, having to murder the man that you love, and then go down to the underworld to rescue him and see him being tortured? How would you look? Would you be
Not
cracking
to
jokes?
mention,
I don't fucking think so.
not to mention that she hasn't slept in like 2 months. Hello.
Exactly.
Between being the
And-
dark one and having to go to the underworld, she has not slept since she took the dagger into her hand into the black swirly thing. Okay.
And you know, there are some actresses on television that won't appear on television looking anything less than their best. Even when they're like giving birth or dying, they always have to have perfect makeup. And Jennifer is not one of those actresses. If the character calls for her to not to look stunning, she will. She doesn't have any problems. So, and
Wasn't it J-Mo herself that during season 3 who complained that why the hell is Emma wearing a face full of makeup in the Neverland fucking tropical jungle?
Yes.
And she's been sleeping on the ground for a week?
Yes.
yeah.
Because you could see after when they started there, she had makeup on, and then as the episodes wore on, she was wearing less and less to make it look like, yeah, I've been sleeping on the ground in the tropical Neverland jungle for a week.
All I have to say is God bless J-Mo.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Okay, these are for 516. Anonymous says, I know some of you like the idea of Selena and Hades before the episode aired. Have your thoughts changed at all after seeing the episode?
They were weird and cute.
Okay,
But I don't have very many like big high feelings for them.
okay, so you didn't really like it, but you didn't dislike it?
Yeah, like I liked the couple, like they were kind of cute, but I only chipped them, you know?
Did someone really like them?
Somewhere apparently.
I was kind of neutral on them because Lena's not one of my favorite characters, so I really don't give a shit about who she's with. I enjoyed Hades and the way that Greg German played it. I don't understand why everybody's like, how could you fall in love with her after a bike ride? I'm like, excuse me, you're watching Once Upon a Time. Okay? There's no one charming who fell at first fucking sight.
That's what I liked.
Are you really going to
liked
crucify them for falling in love after a bike ride? I'm not really that invested in the relationship because I don't really care enough about Zelena to give a shit. But I do have to applaud Rebecca's performance overall. It was the first time that I wasn't overly annoyed. She did a really good job in showing, that she did in fact care about her child enough to give the child to Robin to protect them because she knew what Hades' ultimate goal was. I don't agree with what people are saying that they are comparing them to Kevin and Swan. I feel like please don't do that because they're evil. And yes, he's given up a lot of things, giving up going back to Olympus for her, but don't compare that to Killian's
And here, okay,
sacrifices,
here's the
please.
thing. I'm not completely. I was. Maybe it was just me, but I didn't completely know if I should believe him in the last scene because he seems kind of
Yes.
sketchy. And like, I don't know if I believe him. Like, I feel like part of me wants to because Selena. I feel like okay, she can be happy. And the other half is like he's lying to his team. He's lying to his team.
See, that's my problem with it. Is that if I thought that Hades was a trustworthy person, I would probably ship it, but I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, like, ever. So I can't trust that he's not playing her. That his goal isn't exactly what Zelina thinks it is. That he wants to take her baby, or take the Rumbell baby, or whatever, and do that damn time travel spell. So, unless I can believe he's actually telling the truth, I can't ship it.
Oh,
Yeah.
But by the way, you guys realize that that baby isn't getting a name until Robin dies, and then they're calling her Robin.
Yes.
That is the reason she
Yes.
doesn't have a name. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Zelina practically telegraphed that Robin was dying in this episode and said, "You can protect her and I can't. Robin's going to die protecting his daughter. Money
Yeah.
on it right now."
And there
I,
was a name for Robin.
I'm kind of on like two sides of I'm like on the fence where it comes to whether or not to trust Hades. I think in the flashbacks, I think he was genuine because I remember watching his scenes with Korra, and he genuinely was pissed at her for what she did. So I feel like him sensing her to be the one thing that she hated and that she scraped and scrounged her whole life to not be, that shows me that he really does care about her daughter. The scenes where they were together in Oz, I think those were genuine, and he really was willing to give up everything. I mean, who am I to say that he's not? I mean, there have been romances on this show that have started with less, okay? But afterwards, like when she refused him, and then he said, "You'll pay for that," and then he disappeared.
No, did he say you'll pay or you regret it?
I think you'll regret that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different.
But either way, he was pissed at her. So when he sees her again in Underbrook, whatever, I have to agree on that part of it. I'm not sure whether to take his words as genuine or not because he was angry that she refused him. He seems like he still has feelings for her, but at the same time, we know he was angry that she left. So I'm not sure.
And
If he really does want to do this time spell, that means he wants to go back to Olympus. And because she's not a god, she can't go with him. So I don't know whether to take his words as genuine or not.
And that's sort of where I'm coming down on this. That if the time travel spell is more important than Zelina, then he doesn't love her the way that he wants to think that he does. Therefore, I'm not going to ship that. Sorry, Tumblr, it just ain't happening. So it's like, it depends on if he's telling the truth. Does he want her more than Olympus or not? And I don't think he does. And I think we're going to find that out in 521.
I think Greg played it like he was sincere. Maybe it will turn out it's not, but like the way the actor played it, I believed him, but I don't know. So it was, it was too quick. You can't get invested in a couple when they're so quick. And I know it's once upon a time thing to do, to have people fall in love in.
Don't tell that to the Meritage shippers.
But yeah, I think I really, really could have liked them if they had a Captain Swan kind of development, like when they could have had several episodes to fall in love, etc. But Adam and Handy don't do that anymore. So yeah. But yeah, they are good chemistry, but the actors can only do so much when the writing gives them. Okay, does anyone have any other opinion on Selena and
Well,
Hades?
Well, I have another question about Selena and
Oh, okay.
Hades. Obby's girl wants to know, do you think Selena is Hades' first love? And I'm sure Mai has something to say about this.
That's yeah, my tell us.
well, the only way that I'm accepting this Hades without complaint is if I think he's Disney Hades and not mythology Hades. Because if he's mythology Hades, he's doing it really, really wrong. I mean, come on. But yeah, I don't think there's a Persephone once upon a time. Nope.
Maybe it's Selena's second
No.
name.
No, I won't punch you.
Oh, God.
Marina, I love you, but I won't punch you.
Oh, and speaking of Selena, can we appreciate that her birthday is tax day?
Yes.
Yay, happy
That
birthday.
was funny.
Okay, next question.
Well, that's all of the actual questions. Well, I have a general CS question, but we should probably talk about more episode stuff first.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what did everybody think of Snowing trying to contact baby Snowflake via haunting?
I
Creepy.
thought it was adorable.
Okay, we disagree, I guess.
Oh, what did you say?
I said creepy.
I don't know, maybe. But I feel like I was trying to convince the tell the audience, remember, we have another kid.
Yeah, but nobody cares really about that kid. So
Well, yeah, I mean, that's sort of what I was thinking. Of like, first of all, he's an infant, so any kind of message you get to him is kind of lost on him because he's an infant and he doesn't remember who you are. Plus, you've only been gone for like 3 days. So it's not like he's forgotten you in 3 days. I mean, if you had been down there for months or something, then maybe I could see them being panicked, trying to make sure they don't miss time with their kid. But they've been gone for like 3 days.
yeah.
Yeah, although I did love, in this episode, Blind Wish being like, the bird of the living sells a lot on the black market.
There's a
the
black
Blind
market
Wish.
at Underbrook. That made me laugh.
Yeah. Did anyone else think that scene with the bread and the black market could be foreshadowing, like the blind witch or whoever she sells that bread to could use it for, I don't know, nefarious purposes?
You mean James?
Yeah,
Since it's
James.
Charming's breath.
Yeah,
I
probably
bet
James.
it is.
Maybe, but this show doesn't really get the concept of Jacob's gun, so.
Yeah.
That's
I
also
remember
true.
when we were convinced that Regina's sleeping curse in season 3B would be a Chekhov's gun. And then it was like, what?
Yeah,
And then we never
Chekhov
saw
who?
hide nor hair of it again.
Yeah. Did anyone...
Lisa, you don't have opinions on Baby Snowflake?
I thought it was sweet that they got a chance to make sure that he was okay, because I've grown really tired of people online complaining that why the hell did you leave your kid up there? You're the worst parent in the world, blah 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 blah. I'm tired of that crap. I'm like
Again, they've
this
been
is
gone for
they've
3
been gone for
days.
3 days, and it's not like they left her. It's not like they left him in the loft with nobody to take care of him.
They left him
They left him. Yes, I know we all think that Blue is shady, but she's always been, decent with taking care of little kitties. Except when somebody tries to take her place, when Green tries to take her place. But anyway,
I thought it was the Blue Fairy there for a minute. I was like, they're totally playing up on the fact that we all think the Blue Fairy is shady.
I know that they felt horrible in leaving Neil because of what had happened with Emma. I understand why they wanted to make sure that they could contact and let him know that they were there and they were coming home. This is also a kind of a setup because we know in coming episodes that with the snow thing and them thinking that she's going to die or whatever, they were probably going to send her back because Ginny was doing the promotionals for Zootopia, and two, she's getting so pregnant that she can't really do a lot of the action anymore. So it's not surprising that this is kind of a prelude to.
Speaking of snow, did anybody else have a problem with her like demanding from Emma, well, when are we going home? And I'm like, does she look like an encyclopedia to you people? She doesn't know. Like, cut the girl some slack. Hello. I was very upset on Emma's behalf.
I think, as a mom, I can understand her being terrified of being stuck there and not being able to get home to her child and leaving her son without a mother the way that her daughter was left without
But her
parents.
daughter is stuck too. Their names are both on those tombstones.
I
So
know,
her
I
daughter
get
is
it,
stuck
but
too.
sometimes when you're a parent, you get riled up and you get so scared that sometimes you say things that you don't mean. It happens.
Well, yeah, and
We are
then at the end, she's got her grand speech about let's take the fight to Hades. I'm like, girl, you do not have any more clues than you had when this episode began. So how are you going to take down Hades again? Like, the speech sounds great, but
especially when just before that, the only thing you were doing was sitting enjoying your morning bowl of oatmeal while the pen was writing it as a part of the story.
Although I did appreciate that we got to hear Emma's storytelling voice, and I need her to tell more stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she has a very, very nice voice.
Okay, but does anyone else think it's weird how little Regina is in this half season? I just assumed that 5B was gonna be about Regina because usually the B part of the season is. But so far the 100th episode was all Regina and that was awful, etc. But then the rest of the season there wasn't as much Regina as I thought.
Especially considering, one of the things that Darkhook said to Regina when she was trying to talk him down was, you wouldn't go to the underworld. A lot of the people who are down there because of you. You should be shaking in your boots or whatever. And the only people she's come into contact with have been family members and the blind witch.
And her horse.
And the horse. So it's like, what about all these other thousands of people Regina's killed? Shouldn't we have her confront some of those people? Isn't that the point of this? Oh,
again,
no,
like what we were talking about last week, there's always, dearth of character development in deference to plot.
Well,
but I have no problem with there being less her and more other people because I'm quite tired of saying.
I don't have a problem with it because I subscribe to the theory that 6A is going to be Regina heavy. Because if Robin dies, then they have to make an entire arc about her grief.
Of course.
And that's why they can't kill him until the end of this arc. So
she doesn't seem to look... From the spoiler photos in New York, it didn't seem like she was looking very, greedy.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, her not only could Robin possibly be dead, but Henry also ran off to New York, so she's probably pushing down the grief to hunt for her son.
Also, do we know why Henry runs off to New York?
No,
God only knows.
Nobody has a clue.
And he is being a typical teenager. Yeah, seriously, if he does, it's like, seriously, hey, I mean, your parents just got back from the underworld.
Why are you running off to New York with your girlfriend?
Seriously.
I'm wondering if this happened before or after Zelena opened the portal up to send the Camelot people back, because considering that his grandparents and Killian got sucked into it along with her, wouldn't he be a little more concerned about that than taking his girlfriend out on a date?
Oh my God! If he is using any of the Neil school of girlfriends for Violet, I'm calling shenanigans.
The Neil school of seducing teenage girls.
I know, right? Oh my God! Oh God! Excuse me out.
But again, I don't want to speculate until we actually. I mean, there's there's so much confusion about what's happening in the last couple of episodes. I'd rather not speculate till we see it with our own eyeballs.
Creep, 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 creep.
Okay, what's left of the episode? I
Speaking of
guess
creep,
Belle.
The rum
Speaking
bell
of creeps,
toxicity.
can you love my opening? Speaking of
Yes.
creeps, now we can talk about Rumple.
Jesus
I have to-
God.
Rumple is actually the worst.
You know what shocks
Okay.
me is the fact that that fandom has pretty much turned on and castrated Belle for not being more supportive. I'm like, wow, y'all some sick people.
Are you surprised?
No.
Yeah, I really don't have any words for Rumpel anymore.
Okay, I have to say something. I actually really enough both loved and hated that scene. Loved it because it was Bobby at his greatest.
Yes.
And it was finally Rumple being like, this is who I am. You like it? Okay. You don't like it? Okay. And you know what? I know you will. And him being his abusive self, that I know you'll forgive me. I know, like, dude. You know, yeah, he was basically saying, I know you'll let me abuse you further. Like, dude, that's just so creepy.
You know how Eddie keeps going on that Rumple's learned stuff and whatever. I'm like, dude, the only thing Rumple has learned is that he's stopped lying. That he's finally just told Belle straight up how it is. Like that's the grand sum of what he's learned. He's still every bit the manipulative, abusive bastard he's always been. Now he's just
And
upfront
he's
about
even
it.
worse now.
Yeah,
Because
being upfront
apparently-
about it makes it worse.
Yeah, he's learned that he can be upfront about it because he apparently believes that, or at least he's seen in her actions, that she won't care either way, that she'll just keep coming back to him no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only positive thing that I saw in that whole scene was that he finally, for once in his existence, told her the fucking truth. But the fact that he felt like she should be, glad that he's accepted the fact that he's man and beast, and it's okay, you can love you. He's like telling her what she needs to believe and what she needs to think. No, you didn't love me, you loved the beast, blah, 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 blah. Like, what right do you have to tell her how she can think and what's in her heart? And now you're saying that, oh no, you will do this, and you will do this, and you will love me, and you will help me, and blah, blah. I'm glad that she finally grew a pair and walked away. I don't know how long that will last, but I hope it keeps lasting.
Not very long.
Honestly,
Seriously. Well, even in the second sneak peek that we got, she pretty much stood firm. That she's like, no, I'm not going to let you, do this, blah, blah, blah.
But here's the thing, though. He's the dark one. She's just a girl with books. What the hell? Could she really, really genuinely stop him if they managed to defeat Hades and not have their kid stolen? Can she actually stop him from taking their kid if she doesn't want to be with him? Of course she can.
You know what she can do? She can go, yo, BFF. You know that stand still you were talking about? I need you to take that off. And I need you to finally end him. Go to her BFF hook and be like, you have to protect me from him. And then he'll be like, okay.
Well, I mean, her only option is to turn to the people that she's, put down and spurned in Rumple's favor like 18,000 times. At this point, like, I'm sure Emma and the gang would protect her if she asked, but it's like, seriously?
With how much Killian has bonded with her over time, and I know there's that lingering sense of guilt that he has for not being able to do more for Bae and not being able to protect Bae when he was a child. I guarantee you, he will protect that baby with his dying breath. He's not going to let that child grow up the way Bae did.
See, that's the thing, though. It's up to Belle. Belle needs to ask. Ask for
definitely.
help. I mean, Killian can't just march in there willy-nilly and go against Belle's wishes, whatever they are. Because he respects Belle too much to do that. So it has to be up to Belle. that yeah, Rumple's the worst, but Belle needs to make a definitive choice to step away and decide that she doesn't want him in her child's life. I mean, that's the way it has to be. If Belle doesn't make that decision, Killian can't make it for her.
Damn right. I was gonna say something and I forgot.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that. Oh, when he's talking about how Belle loved the monster, like no, we've seen no sign of Belle loving the monster.
Well, the only thing I can think of is, remember in the Bagel episode in season 3, she said to Bagel that she loved everything. She loved all of Rumple, even the parts that belonged to the darkness. Now she said that after her husband was dead, but you know.
Yeah, but here's the thing: those are words. In her actions, all we've seen is her being scared of Rumple at his worst.
Once she's accepted that he's a monster, up until 411,
yeah,
she
I'm
believed
talking
in
about
him.
411. I'm talking about 411 post.
So I don't know if the writers want to get that Belle back. Like 4B Belle is my favorite Belle, but I don't know if they're actually invested enough to bring us that. I mean, she basically has two choices at this point. She can be the hero she wants to be and do what's best for her child and step away from the crazy person, or she can choose to be the mob boss's wife and just condone everything he does.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we talked about everything in the episode. Did something else happen?
We need to say give props to Rebecca Mader. Because
Yeah, she was
holy
amazing.
shit, that was an incredible performance. From the moment she starts crying because she realizes she hurt her baby, it broke my heart and completely got me believing that Selena loved her daughter. And I thought it was really a real good callback to her watching the scene of her mother abandoning her and her deciding to do the best for her child, not for her.
Yeah, that was the first time. This is the first time I've actually believed that redeeming Zelena is an actual viable possibility. So
I think it'll all come down to that child. I don't like to say that a redemption should be placed on the shoulders of any one person, much less a baby. But she won't listen to her sister. I know that we don't have much love for Regina, but again, as episodes keep going on in this half of the arc, I've got to say she's really hit a stride. We've always complained about how she was not self-aware, especially in 5A. She had said some things to her before. You remember in that scene where they were arguing in the tower, and she was going on about how you can't keep doing this stuff, blah blah. Like, what about you? But in that scene where they're walking through the forest trying to find the baby, she was complaining, and Regina finally, in a self-aware moment, was like, I used to be just like you. I pushed everybody away because of my revenge, and eventually there was nobody else left to love me. But once I finally let my revenge go, a wonderful thing happened. The people that I hated became my family. And I was like, oh my God! We're finally self-aware, bitch! Welcome to the real world!
see, and that, ironically, that scene just felt like another one to me to reinforce the fact that Robin's dying, because they showed us how Regina can be happy outside of Robin with that scene. But that's just me.
I'm just glad that she's finally become self-aware enough that what she tells her sister doesn't seem ridiculous. That is actually, honest and truthful. Hopefully, Zelena will listen to it. I've always felt like, the saying that Regina had said, the one person that was preventing her from being happy was herself. She was in the way of her own happiness. Zelena is encapsulating that now. She had a chance to be happy with Hades in the past, but she was so worried about her revenge and not being able to trust him and her mile-high walls that she rebuffed him, and now she keeps hitting that same wall. She's she's in the way of her own chance to be happy. Now she's got this baby, and she has a chance to make up for things that she was lacking when she was a child, never having a real family and always being shunned because of her magic. She can make up for that loss that she feels by providing that love for this child. Hopefully that'll happen.
Hmm. Okay, so here's my least favorite Captain Swan kiss. It's the 4A finale, the 36 seconds when she gives back his heart and the kiss. That's
Oh,
my least
good one.
favorite.
That's a good one.
Okay, so
We have one general CS question,
okay.
and then that's it. Anonymous says, question for the next podcast. It just does not make sense to me that the show has not given us any kind of Captain Swan sexy time yet. I don't know why the show would waste the incredible chemistry that Killian and Emma have and just not give us anything at all. Also, no one ever seems to ask anyone on the show in interviews or anything about whether we are ever going to get CS sexy times either. And it could be that the show just does not know what this means, that it means so much to us. What do you guys think?
Well, Leanne has asked. But
Well,
she's
Leanne
the
has
only
asked,
one.
but it hasn't been published.
All right.
And
guess
sometimes
she knows
sometimes there's a level of questioning that the actors are just not comfortable with. And
No, but I'm
sometimes-
talking about asking Adam and Eddie.
Yeah, Adam and Eddie deserve this question, but please don't ask Jen or Colin. That's not appropriate.
Yes, please don't. It's not because
I never,
But-
I never said it as Jen and Colin. I said ask Adam and Eddie.
Yeah, I agree.
They run the show.
Adam and Eddie deserve this question.
I like Michelle. I believe what you do in that it's unrealistic at this point to believe anything other than the fact that they've probably already had the bang bang. I mean, their intimacy it's just too much. It is totally out of the realm of what is real about the show for them to believe that they haven't at least once.
Okay, I guess we'll see.
Yes, but
Was
I
that
don't care
the last?
if they have already had sex. I just want to see them have sex again. On
Exactly.
screen.
I just want to see something, some sort of scene,
Yeah,
whether it's a
some sort of-
post-coital scene or them going into a bedroom and clothes hitting the floor, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah,
It
some
doesn't have
sort
to
of-
be stars. It doesn't have to be Jamie and Claire. I just need something.
Yeah, some sort of confirmation that something, happened. Although I do like the fact of this episode that now that they've had that levity and they're certain he's coming home, that they aren't really, they're like fused together almost. She has every scene that they're in, they're together. They're like touching in some way, or sitting together, or standing together, or whatever. Like she won't let him out of her sight. It's really sweet.
Oh, should we talk about the whole people think Killian's being harsh on poor teenage Henry?
Oh Lord Jesus.
Okay, let's just take a deep breath, maybe. I don't know. People have their own opinions. I don't feel like discussing it. If you want to discuss it, I get really, really tired by these arguments. I feel like people give opinions, we'll yell at them, and then I don't know.
I don't put much stock into what any of these people say about him, because he could perform a miracle on this show, and they would find some reason to hate him for it. I mean, this man gave up his ship, which is his entire life and every memory he has of his brother and his lost love, and they still managed to spin that, the most amazing sacrifice ever, and they still managed to spin that into, he's browbeating her and forcing her, into feeling obligated. So I'm not even going to argue with them anymore. If they want to view it through that shipper goggles and their own version of their own Once Upon a Time world, that's fine. But
Personally,
honestly,
I think it's more interesting that the show seems to be suddenly leaning so heavily on the Henry is the teenager angst.
Well, they should.
Like
He's a
they
freaking
forgot.
teenager. He's a teenager.
Well, I know, but he's still only like 13 years old. I know Jared's like 15, but on the show he's only like 13, and he was like the adorable one up until 5 minutes ago.
Gotta say though, I love that the smirk that Killian has as Henry tromps up the stairs like, leave me alone. Killian's like,
He and Robin were sharing a moment. Remembering when
That
they
was
were
funny.
teenage boys.
But I mean, Killian, if you know his character, he's always been known to be a little bit abrasive, a little bit brash, and most of the time quite a bit opinionated. And considering the stress everyone is under right now and the guilt he probably still feels, there's nothing wrong with him pointing out like, hey, yo, dude, I get that you're the author, but really, stories about my breakfast preferences, that's really not important. Nothing wrong with that.
And this is why I'm like weirdly suspicious of this whole Henry is the author thing, because it's like he falls asleep and suddenly the pages exist and he doesn't remember writing them. Does that sound fishy to anybody else?
Yes.
I don't know what to think about that, honestly. Maybe the
The
pen
whole
works
thing
differently
just-
because they're in the underworld. I have no idea.
The whole thing just smells fishy to me.
And as for them lashing out at him for supposedly abrasively being concerned about Emma in the sneak peek, I'm like, if you look at the way that sneak peek was edited, something's has been left out of that. And they're known when they do sneak peeks to sometimes edit things, like what happened in episode 13. There was a whole like 3 or 4 or 5 lines of dialogue that they edited out of that scene. So wait till you have the whole scene in context before you start lashing out at him for being, I don't know, concerned about the fact that his girlfriend hasn't slept in 6 weeks.
Well, no, I don't think that's what they were lashing out about. They were lashing out at the fact that he was snippy to Regina about the squiggly lines. Which, let's be real, Killian's never been impressed by anyone's magic but Emma's. So he's like, really, I've been standing up here on this roof while you draw squiggly lines? That's gonna help? Really?
And let's be real, Regina's never lashed out at them and called them idiots. Come on now.
Exactly. That's like pot, meet, kettle. Hello.
Thank you.
Okay, so does anyone else have any last comments about the episode of general to that to say? Mike?
Well, I thought, like, in general, it wasn't a bad episode. It's a weird episode, but like Once Upon a Time weird. Like those episodes that actually embrace what Once Upon a Time is, which is a really weird show about fairy tales with really weird character connections. So I like when they take advantage of that and try to be instead of trying to be super serious, wow, doom and gloom. I like when they're like, yeah, Selena, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Hades are riding a bike. That's what happened. Like, I like those moments.
Oh, okay, I just thought of something. I read that there's this rumor that they are not doing Mulan and Red, but Red and Dorothy. What do you think of that?
I think that's exactly what's happening.
That's just
But she's
weird
only-
to me.
Again,
Why not
because
just Mulan?
Again, not going to speculate until we see for sure.
Read the press release. It sounds like Ruby is way more concerned about Dorothy and there's virtually no mention of Ruby or of Mulan at all. So it definitely reads to me, based on that press release, that it's Ruby and Dorothy. And Mulan's just there.
When is my Ruby coming back? When?
She comes
I'm just
back in this
trying to-
episode.
I was trying to figure out like how they came to know each other, how she wound up in Oz, because I think a lot of it kind of connects with some unanswered questions from 16. First of all, big unanswered plot hole. How did Zelena get back from Oz? That was never answered. And 2, I kind of have to agree with what Zelena in the flashback when Dorothy was stopping her from the really bad CGI scarecrow. Oh, hun, just that. Yeah, that was awful. You could see she kind of looked at her and goes, "What happened to you in Kansas?" I'm like, "Yeah, what the fuck did happen to you in Kansas?" That's a big plot hole too that they haven't really quite answered. Is how did this change come over her from what she was, the little girl she was before? I'm guessing that in Ruby Slippers, I might answer more of those questions.
Okay, here's
So I have. Yes, read it.
What?
Or do whatever you're doing.
Oh, I was like, read what? I was like, wait, what do I have to read? I'm confused.
Okay, so
Okay, I think that the Selena thing was a Duke's ex-Selena. Yes. All I wanted was to make that joke.
Although I do have to say that if the ship is Ruby and Dorothy, we have officially had a ship name be a title for an episode.
You really think
Because the episode's called
that
Ruby
was
Slippers.
yeah,
You really think that was
Yes.
intentional?
but
Yes.
Moulin Rouge is still better. As a ship name, I don't have an opinion
The
about
only
the
thing
couple.
the only thing I worry about though is that I know how badly that people wanted to see like an LGBT couple, and they wanted it to be a couple that was going to be there for some length of time, not just
I never
quick
expected that to
one-off
happen.
episode. And I just worry that it's gonna. I don't want it to cause backlash. Honestly,
It will,
I think it's
especially
more.
with the whole bullshit that's going on lately because of a certain brown face cultural appreciation raccoon.
Okay, but I think if the couple is actually Ruby and Dorothy, it would be more likely for them to be seen because I think Jamie Chung is doesn't she have a new pilot? While the Dorothy and Red actresses don't have that, so maybe they changed the couple so they could be seen more. I don't know.
I'm not holding my breath. I always expected it to be a one-off. The only way they would get we'd have an LGBT couple on a regular basis is if they suddenly made one of the main characters LGBT. So I always expected it to be a one-off.
Yeah, should have been Henry.
I'm okay with that.
Me too. I think there was a missed opportunity. Anyway, I think we can end the podcast here if no one else has any comments. And
No.
no, no, okay. And the Captain Fun podcast will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.